Starting right on time. I am constant as the North Star. Well, it's actually true. I've been doing this for 17 years consistently on the internet, so I'm one of the few guys who's doing this long, this consistently. I am Caleb Jones, and this is Alpha Male 2.0, freedom, focused, lifestyle design for men. Location-independent income through your own location-independent business that you own and control 100%. Dating multiple attractive women, which we'll be talking about in great detail in a few minutes. Multiple attractive women with no lying, cheating, or drama, all long-term. The freest lifestyle a man can possibly live in the collapsing era in which we currently find ourselves. Speaking of collapsing era, yes, I'm currently in London, still. You can tell if you watch the video from the beautiful English background. These old lady curtains are great. I'm in London. I will be here for another 2 days. Then I will be up in Scotland for about 4 days. Then I head off to the United States for a few weeks. And yesterday I did something that I've been wanting to do for most of my life, and I've never done it. I'm very happy, very excited. It was very fun. I took the day off. That alone is unusual for me. I don't usually take days off lately, but took the day off and I went to Oxford, UK. It's about an hour outside of London. Let's see, west of London. And I J.R.R. Tolkien. So this is something I've wanted to do since I was in 5th, 6th grade in the 80s, in the early to mid 80s. So most normal people think that Lord of the Rings became a thing around 2002 when they released the movies. No. Lord of the Rings became very popular around the late 60s, early 1970s. So it was a very big thing in the 70s and 80s. If you were a nerd in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even 90s, Lord of the Rings was a big part of your life. And it was a huge part of my childhood. I read the entire thing when I was in 5th grade. I was 9 years old. Read The Hobbit after Lord of the Rings. Then I tried to read Silmarillion, but it was too difficult because I was a little kid. I'm smart, but not that smart. So I had to wait for high school to read the Silmarillion. I have reread the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit and the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales, which are the 4 books that are canon to Tolkien's writings, numerous times. Matter of fact, at one point, you can find this on the internet somewhere. If you're really into this stuff, if you're a big fantasy nerd like me, this is awesome. What you do is it's a website. I don't remember what it was. You could Google it, and you could plug in the exact the trade paperback published versions of all of your books. So that would be Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, Silmarillion, and Unfinished Tales. Right? The date of when they're published, the edition, you plug it in, and then you have to get a pen and write in the book. So you don't want to do that. Get some shitty books for this. And it tells you exactly how to read the entire thing in order with all 4 of those books. Lord of the Rings being 3, so all 7 of those books. And I've done that several times. It's amazing doing that. So anyway, J.R.R. Tolkien's works have been a big part of my life since decades before those movies. And so what I did yesterday was I went to all of his locations of where he used to walk to work, where he used to teach, the pubs where he would hang out with C.S. Lewis and the other writers and sit and discuss their stories. I sat at the exact same tables and desks where he actually wrote Lord of the Rings. Pretty cool. I took pictures of all this stuff. I did that all day. Spent the entire day doing that. It was very special for me. I loved it. And the weather was perfect, sunny, but cloudy, but sunny. I made sure it was on a day that it didn't rain because it tends to rain here a lot in the British Isles. Did that for most of the day, and then I went up north of Oxford. I went to Blenheim Palace, did that, hung out up there, and then I came back here, back to my hotel room in Kensington, UK. Kensington, London, UK. Neat. And when you're location dependent, you can do that kind of thing. Here's some other moments I've had that were unique to me. Have your own moments when you're location dependent. Another really cool moment I had is one of the big video games of my, not childhood, but my early adulthood was Deus Ex. This is from 1999, 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. a big impact on me. And there is a location in that game in Hong Kong called Tenochi Road. That's a big important location in that game. And I played the game over and over and over again. So when I finally started traveling internationally, Hong Kong's the first place I went because it's my favorite city. And I went to Tenochi Road and I took a picture of the exact area of what they have in the game. That was a cool moment for me. Another cool moment for me was, and again, you may not relate to these things, but this is what was big deal for me at the time. On my background wallpaper for years, I had a picture of a certain bridge in Tokyo, Japan. This particular bridge at night. A picture I really liked. And so many years later, I figured out, it took me time to figure this out, where exactly this bridge was using Google Earth and Google Maps. I found out where this bridge was, and I walked across that bridge. The bridge that had been on my computer screen for years and years. That was a cool moment. And of course, things like, this is Alpha Male 2.0. I would have women who I knew of. Pictures of them or on Instagram or things like that. They were often in different countries. And so now I'm location dependent. So I've had sex with some of those very women. So this stuff happens. When you adopt this lifestyle, you could experience things like this. And I'm not kidding. What I experienced yesterday was something I wanted to do my whole life since I was 9 years old. And I'm a 52-year-old man. Pretty neat. And I'm just scratching the surface. I could do a whole podcast on experiences that I've had that were like culminations of things I wanted to experience. I'm not just talking about lore sexual stuff. There's all kinds of things. I've mentioned this. I had on my old phone, my old Android phone that I had for years, 6-7 years. I don't like buying new phones. Not these people who buy a new phone every year. I think it's insane. So I buy a phone and I keep it for years and years. I run it in the ground and finally I reluctantly buy a new phone. So I had Android phone for years. And the background image on that phone that I saw every day was the Burj Khalifa. This is before I ever went to Dubai. This is before I ever knew I was going to move to Dubai. Right there, Burj Khalifa. And now my apartment, you walk out in the patio and you look and there's the Burj Khalifa. This stuff happens. Works. Let me see. I'll take a drink of water. We'll address a few of your questions and we'll get started here. How are we doing on the technology here? So far, I haven't cut out, have I? So on the last live stream I did, we had some trouble with the internet connection here in London. Welcome to London. If it happens again, I'm going to have to make some changes halfway into this live stream. Hopefully it will be okay. Hang on a moment. What do you usually wear on a first date? It doesn't matter what I wear because I'm not you. And I probably look very differently than you. And I'm probably a lot older than you. And so you wear based on your vibe. You want to dress 1 or 2 notches above what you normally dress. So if you normally wear jeans and a t-shirt, 1 or 2 notches above that, don't wear a suit and tie. Don't look like a dork, but dress a notch or 2 better. Do you think wearing a classy dress shirt and a coat on the main photo would affect results? Yes, that's a good idea. If that's congruent to your personality. I'm a businessman, so I can wear a suit top, and that's congruent to who I am. If you're a 22-year-old kid, probably don't want to wear a suit top. It'll look weird. I'm moving in 3 months. How soon should I tell my MLTR of 1 month? She really likes me and sad I'm going to Uruguay, Paraguay next month. There's no right or wrong answer to that question. I like to not hide things from people. I like to be very, transparent about what I'm doing. So I would tell her now, but there's no technique for that. It's up to you. Caleb would tell her now. I mean, I'm already gone from Dubai, and my main FB in Dubai is like texting me like, I just realized I'm not going to see you for 4 months. Yeah, I know. It sucks. I know. It's a price we pay as location independent, or at least 5 flags. You don't need to be a 5 flags Alpha Male 2.0. You can be rooted in one place. That's fine. But if you're a 5 flags Alpha Male 2.0, things are a little complicated. We'll talk about that in this podcast. Is it possible to maintain FBs and MLTRs of living places 4 to 7 months a year? Do you have to start over every time? I will address that in this podcast. I will address exactly that. Is the new version of the Unchained Man available for purchase? It was. Right now it's not. We're going to reopen it in about, once I get settled in the United States, about a week and a half, we'll do that. I'm moving to be close to my family temporarily where I work on my A2 business. I have some location-dependent work that will pay the bills. That's not good. But I have to market and spend time getting new clients in my new area. Should I take a break from my Alpha 2.0 startup? What do you think I'm going to say to that? Until I get my income up with my current business. What do you think my answer is? Dumb question. What do you think my answer is? If you had an AI that was me, what would the AI tell you? Hope you're enjoying London. I am. Love London to death. I love it here. I could never live here, but I love it here. And I'm getting a little sad that I have one more full day here tomorrow. I'm going to leave the next morning. I'm getting a little sad because London's awesome to visit. Don't live here. And if you live here, get out and visit. I talked about this, the event, I did here in London, one of them. I said, use the West as like a whore. I didn't say his word. Maybe I did say this. Use it as a whore. Go visit it and do stuff with it financially, friends, family, women if you want, and then leave and get out and go back to the rising world, not the collapsing world. To your knowledge, what percentage of the 90 business builder guys go on to make an A2 minimum of $85,000 a year? We keep statistics for that, but it's not enough. It's not a percentage of people who join a program. The vast majority of people who join any program don't do any work. That's any program in the world. That's literally any program. Vast majority of people who join Business Builder don't do much. They do a little bit and then they get bored or they get distracted and they don't do it. So if you don't do it, we won't. So we track the number of people who make the amount of money, the minimum amount of money, who actually do the work. And we don't track all of them to 85,000 a year because that takes a few more months. It's only a 90-day program. We do keep tabs of some of them, though. Do you think the U.S. will end up being a cyberpunk dystopian by collapsing West, similar to RoboCop or Blade Runner portrayed? That's one possible collapse scenario. There are 5 different scenarios. Let's see if I can name them. Slow decline, balkanization, where they break up little countries, currency collapse, which is what I think is going to occur, and you have either inflationary or deflationary, war and or major terrorism, like bioterrorism, cyber warfare, things like that. And the last one I think is least likely, but it is possible, is authoritarianism, fascism. One of those 5. So it depends. We don't know which one it'll be. It'll be one of them. We just don't know which one. How much do you think girls care about dick size out of all the girls you've been with? Dick size, and this is the truth, and I've talked to a lot of women about this, dick size only matters if you have a really small dick. If you have a really tiny dick, yeah, women don't love that. So, but does that mean you're fucked? No, you can overcome that. Make her feel really good. Do everything else, the cardinal rules, and you can make that work. As long as you're average or above, you're good. It's not like I want a guy with a big dick. Women are not going to screen men based on the size of their cock. It's not going to do that. They don't care. Unless you're really. All right, 1 or 2 more questions. We'll get to their topic. Can you see an MLTR more than once a week after you have the talk? No. MLTRs and FBs once a week, period, end of story. Even if she's a high-end MLTR, once a week. You could expand the time with an MLTR. You can expand the time of that visit. So instead of 3 or 4 hours, you can spend a whole day with her and then spend the night another half day, and then she leaves. That's fine. That's okay. I did that for years. But once a week, that's it. Only when she becomes an OLTR does she get more than once a week. And even then you got to be careful. Right. What business podcasts and or YouTubers do you recommend listening to for Alpha 2.0 business ideas and content? I know you say Alex Hormozi, not necessarily for people just starting a business. You know what? I walk my talk. Hang on. I walk my talk. I don't spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts. You know why? Because I'm too busy working. So I don't spend a lot of time consuming content. I don't. I mean, I like the usual podcasts that people will listen to. I Joe Rogan occasionally, and Your First Million, that podcast is pretty good. And there are a lot of really good Alpha 2.0 compatible podcasts out there. I'm pretty niched. I'm forgetting some off the top of my head. I thought the Kevin Spacey podcast with Lex Friedman was interesting. I don't have any specific recommendations because I'm too busy working. Consuming content should not be a huge part of your life. Building your dreams, building your business, building your life infrastructure, building your international backup plan. Spend your time doing these things. Once you're making $85,000 a year plus and you're location independent and everything's perfect, then consume all the fucking content you want. And there's a danger of consuming too much business content because you always get these new ideas and you never proceed on one idea. So just be aware of that. Okay. Today's topic, and I'll get back to your questions. There are 3 types of relationships we talk about here at Alpha Male 2.0. Let me summarize them very quickly in case you are new to this content. The first type is the FB, or friend with benefits, or fuck buddy. Sometimes it's abbreviated on the internet as FWB. I call them FBs. It's more accurate, easier to say. That is a woman who you're having sex with, but you don't date. You're not in love with her. You don't have feelings for her. She's just your friend, and you have sex. You don't date. She doesn't spend the night. You just have sex. And that's it. Okay. The next one is the MLTR, which stands for multiple long-term relationships. This is a woman that you're having sex with, and you're dating. You really like her. Emotionally. You can even love her. She could love you. This is a real dating emotional thing. Dating. However, it is completely non-monogamous. You could have multiple FBs. You could have multiple MLTRs. We'll talk about exactly how many you have in a second. This is the topic of this podcast. The last one is the OLTR, and this is the Alpha Male 2.0 equivalent of a girlfriend. So an OLTR is someone who is your girlfriend. If you don't live with her. If you live with her, she is your wife, even though you haven't signed anything. OLTR, wife. And the OLTR is non-monogamous, but it's emotionally exclusive. So if you have an OLTR, you cannot date any MLTR. So you can't have an OLTR and MLTR as the side. You can't do that. Because the OLTR, you've made a commitment to exclusivity, emotional exclusivity, but you can have as many FBs on the side as you want, and so can she. Okay, and there's systems in place for how you manage these 3 types of relationships. Talk about this in a lot of other contents, podcasts, things like that. The question arises, and this is a question I get a lot, and I've seen a lot of men do this wrong, is how many of each? Or should I do all 3? Are there some I shouldn't do? Are there some I should do? So Alpha Male 2.0, unlike any other dating model you have heard anywhere else in the entire world, Alpha Male 2.0 works for your entire lifespan. From the age of adulthood, so 16 to 17, 18, depending on what country you're in, all the way to age 79, is Alpha Male 2.0. It applies to everything. PUA, pickup artist, that really only applies to men under 35 and or maybe men over 35 who just got out of a big divorce and they're looking to play the field a while until they get back into a relationship. That's all it's for. PUA is not for men in their 40s. It's not. It's not. You'll have no interest. Even late 30s, you're going to have no interest in this stuff. That's why all these PUAs, and I would know because I come out of that world, as soon as they hit around 35, they settle down and get married. And of course, monogamy doesn't work. They have problems. They get divorced. Okay, but that's what they do. So other models, red pill also. Red pill appeals to a very particular type of guy at a very particular point in his life. It does not appeal to how many red or 57 years old. Right. Alpha Male 2.0 applies to your entire life. And the difference is that what you will want and what makes sense to your life in terms of your dating life and your relationship life, your sex life will change. What you're going to want when you're 21 is going to be very different than when you're 55. And what you want when you're 55 is going to be different when you're 72. You can still be non-monogamous, you can still follow these models, but these things will change over time. I've been doing Alpha Male 2.0 now for 17 years straight. And my dating life looks a lot different than it looked 6 years ago, and 6 years it looked a lot different than it was 10 years ago because things change, you get older. Your lifestyle changes, you get older, you change. What you want changes. Your priorities change. Maybe you have kids, maybe you don't have kids. And so just because I say FB, MLTR, OLTR, it doesn't mean that you should do all 3 right now or follow some specific model because you might be 32. It might make perfect sense to do certain things at certain times for you. Whereas a guy who's, 70, not 70, let's say a guy who's 50 out of a long divorce is going to have different priorities than a guy who's 22 and wants to get some pussy, for example. So a few things. One is, and I've already covered these. Let's cover FBs, MLTRs, OLTR really fast in terms of your age. FBs are for any man of any age. When I say any age, adulthood, okay? 18 to 79. Past 79, I don't have a lot of data for alpha male 2.0, but we have lots of guys in their 70s doing alpha male 2.0, having a great time. So I know it works from 18 to 79. So FBs is for any man at any time, unless you don't want any FBs, which I think is dangerous. We'll cover that in a second. So FBs, that's the beauty of FBs. They appeal to any type of man at any point in his life. You could be married at an OLTR in FBs. You could have MLTRs in FBs. You could be a young guy in FBs. You could have, you could have just nothing but FBs because you're focused on your work. Great. FBs are awesome. Now, MLTRs. MLTRs are good if you have a little more time in your personal life, and sometimes you don't. And you want a dating experience, a girlfriend experience, but you don't want to make commitments to any one woman because you're too young to do so, or you're focused on your business right now, or you travel a lot, or you just got out of a big relationship. The last thing you want to do is jump into another one. So MLTRs are good for certain men at certain points in their lives. Okay. OLTR. OLTR is only for men over 30 who have a lot of sexual dating experience who finally want to settle down and want to have a girlfriend now. Men over 30. I've said 10,000 times, and a lot of people don't like when I say this, but I'm right. Men under 30 should not have a girlfriend. I'm sorry, you shouldn't. FB is fine. MLTR, sure. Girlfriend, no. Nope. And no man should live with a woman in a romantic context unless he is over the age of 35. If you live with a woman and you're under 35, you're asking for problems. 99% of the time. And again, I'm talking about the Western world. I'm not talking about Taiwan or India or Indonesia. Always get these guys, well, I live with my girlfriend. It's great. No. Where do you live? Taiwan. Okay, I'm not talking about you, motherfucker. I'm talking about the West. A collapsing Western world is what we're talking about here. Okay? So that's the overview of where they fall into certain categories. Now let me talk about specific numbers and combinations and configurations of these things. I have a list in front of me. So here's where you start. If you're an alpha male 2.0 beginner, here's your objective. 1 MLTR and 1 FB. Any man listening to the sound of my voice can do that. Any guy can get 1 MLTR who's at least cute to you and 1 FB who's at least cute. Let me define that really quick. A quick aside. I do not follow the 1 to 10 scale. Oh, she's a 9 and she's a 7. And you'll notice I don't talk like that. Sometimes I do because you guys ask. That's not a good skill to use because it is too subjective. It works for you. You know what an 8 is to you, but what an 8 is to me is very different. What an 8 to your brother is, your brother's version of it is very different. Your best friend's version of an 8 is very different. So it's completely useless for communicating, oh, she's an 8. No, she's an 8 to you. To the guy sitting next to you, she's a 7. To the guy sitting next to him, she's a 9.5. So instead what I use is a 4-tier model in terms of physical appearance: ugly, average, cute, hot. You'll get a lot more consensus on that. Ugly, average, cute, hot than you will, she's a 7.5. Okay? So the model for Alpha 2.0 is, the long-term model is all the way in your life, FBs, MLTR, OLF, doesn't matter. She needs to be at least cute to you. Okay? She does not need to be a supermodel. She does not need to be an Instagram model. She doesn't need to be 19 years old. Because some guys that get excuses, oh, well, not everybody can fuck Instagram models. That's right. I'm not suggesting this. Just because I do it doesn't mean you should do it. I've been doing this 17 years. Have you been doing this 17 years? Probably not. Okay. So any man, listen to the sound of my voice, this video, this podcast, or if you're listening to this, you could get 1 MLTR who's cute to you and 1 FB on the side who's cute to you. That's the easiest configuration to do. It's actually easier than 2 FBs. The reason for that is most guys, especially when they're new, get feelings. They catch feelings. So a lot of guys, they get 2 FBs, they start to like one and start dating one. So they just get 1 MLTR who you can date and 1 FB on the side, quote, on the side. Easiest model there is. Any man at any age, any race, any nationality can do that. You can do that. I don't care if you're a virgin right now. You can do it. Many guys in the community have. It's kind of your starting point is 1 MLTR and 1 FB. Okay. Now here's another one. Here's another model. A small number of FBs. Oh, let me give you one more thing. Alpha male 2.0 is about non-monogamy. Monogamy means, a lot of guys are confused. A lot of people are confused about this or pretend to be confused about this. Non-monogamous means Your penis is going inside at least 2 vaginas on a regular basis. That's what it means. Okay. So if you say to your girl that you're dating, hey, I'm non-monogamous, she says, okay, and you only have sex with her for the next 3 months, you're monogamous. You're what I call de facto monogamous. Yes, she's allowing you to do it, but you're not. So you are still not non-monogamous, dumbass. Okay? Or if you're having sex with one woman and there's another one, you're getting blowjobs and making out and you're squeezing your boobies, but you're having sex, penis inside vagina, you are, congratulations, monogamous. So non-monogamous means you're having sex, sexual intercourse with at least 2 women on a regular basis. Caleb, what does regular basis mean? At least once every 6 weeks at the most. You go past 6 weeks with one woman, you are now monogamous, congratulations. And women will smell it on you. Women are very intuitive about this stuff. She will know that she's the only person you're having sex with. Okay? So the minimum number of all these configurations of women is 2. 2 women minimum. Not 1, that's monogamy. Not 0, that's incel. And as I've talked about many times, incel will not make you happy long term. For a while, if you need to take a break from sex for a month or 2, fine. I'm talking about in your terms of your life. That's not going to make you happy never having sex. Only be allowed to have sex with one woman. I don't care if she's a perfect 10 to you and she's a wonderful mother, blah, 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 blah. That will not make you long-term happy long term. Eventually, you will want to have sex with someone else, right? That's how you work. You're a man, and that's okay. So not 0, not 1, 2. 2, 2. Now, that is the alpha male 2.0 minimum. Let me give you what my minimum is. It always has been since day one, since 2007, when I started with this. My minimum has been 3. This is Caleb's minimum. Why? Because if I have 2 and 1 goes away, oops, I'm down to 1 and now I'm monogamous. Oh, I can't have that. I don't want to be anywhere near monogamous. I don't want to be monogamous and figure out how to get another girl. So my thing is 3. So if 1 goes away, I'm still non-monogamous. I have 2 women. I have plenty of time to replace that 3rd one. I recommend you use 3 as the minimum. That's too much for you. 2. Okay. All right. All right. Next model. 2 to 3 FBs, no MLTRs and no OLTR. Just FBs, 2 or 3. This is a really great model for those of you who are busy. Those of you like me. You're traveling a lot and or you're building your businesses. And that's your focus. Great. You're focused on your business. Get 2 FBs just so you can be a man and not worry about sex all day and not be jerking off the porn as you're working and shit like that. Great. There are many times in your life you're going to have where you don't want to date anybody. Dating someone will be a liability. So you just want FBs. Okay. I've said many times that, well, we'll get off topic with that. I can say a lot of things that I can't right now. Now, can you have just FBs for the rest of your life? Probably not. It is extremely rare. I mean rare, including in the alpha male 2.0 community, including in the red pill world, to find a man who never wants to date a woman for the rest of his life. 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, just be alone and just bang chicks. Very rare. You will eventually want to have a relationship with someone. You'll eventually want an OLTR. Statistically, most men will, especially over the age of 35. But I'm talking about for a time, 2 FBs, 3 FBs is great. If you are older and have more money, you can make them into sugar babies. So sugar daddy game is if there's a transactional aspect of the relationship, have to be FBs. You don't want to pay an MLTR to date you. Can't think of anything more beta than that. So FBs, fine. Next one. What if you had 2 or 3 MLTRs and no FBs? You could do this. I don't recommend it, but you could do it. You could do it. What is the maximum number of MLTRs you should have? There is no technical maximum. The recommended maximum is 3. Why is that? Unlike FBs, MLTRs take time. And those who have MLTRs, you know what I'm talking about. They take time, don't they? You got to talk to them on the phone and you text them and you go out. She spends the whole evening with you. You go on a date. She spends the night. It's an investment in time, an MLTR. FB, she's in and out of there in an hour and a half. That's the beauty of FBs. They're very time management friends. That's why I love FBs. Love FBs. Love, always have. MLTRs take time. So can you have one? Sure. Can you have two? Yes, you could. Can you have three? You're pushing it. Three's pushing it. Can you have more than three? Shouldn't. I don't recommend it. Bad idea. I've had three. I've had a point where I had 3 MLTRs and God, 4 FBs. This is years ago. Didn't get a lot of work done. So don't recommend it. There's a category of men who are uncomfortable with the concept of the FB. I've written articles about this, a little off topic for this topic. But if you just fall in love with every woman you have sex with, it's a problem you need to fix in your personality. One of my brothers is like this. It's not good. And so, I have to be romantic with every woman I date. Well, to me, that's a disadvantage because you are more prone for drama and problems to go down the road. 1 OLTR and 1 FB on the side. That's fine if you're over the age of 30 and the OLTR meets all the requirements. So unlike FBs and MLTRs, I've talked about this a lot in other podcasts and books and blogs, things like that. The OLTR has a set of requirements. You don't just start dating someone to make her your OLTR. It takes a long time. 6 months to 12 months or more. Took Pink Firefly years to be my OLTR. My girlfriend before took years. So if she qualifies and you're over the age of 30, great. You have an OLTR and 1 FB on the side. Now, again, I think in my world, that's not enough. I would have 2 FBs because I want a minimum of 3. Make sense? But that can work. Just be aware, if you have 1 OLTR, 1 FB on the side, that FB is not going to be there forever. She's going to do what's called a listen fitty. She's going to get frustrated that she's not your girlfriend, and she's going to go away and get a boyfriend. Guess what? Now you're monogamous. So you better have a quickly built-in system. Alpha 2.0 covers this: online dating, day game, referral game, all kinds of options to replace that FB very quickly. So one thing you could do, and I do a variation of this, although I don't need to do it anymore because I have so many women now, is you have a roster of women of X FBs, X MLTRs. You have 1 OLTR, 1 FB. And as soon as the FB goes away, you have 4 or 5 women you can text right now and get one back in there quickly. Those who have been at this for a while, that's okay. So that can work, but I would recommend 1 OLTR, 2 FBs, in my opinion. But that would work. We'll talk about 5 flags models in a second. We're almost there. 1 OLTR and multiple FBs. Great. If you are over the age of 30, fine. That's what I've had for many years now. Many years. I like that. But again, I'm a 50-year-old man who's lived all of his sexual fantasies. You're probably not me. Those of you who are like me, older, been around the block a little bit, great. OLTR girlfriend or OLTR live-in wife, multiple FBs aside, great. Very sustainable, very long-term sustainable model. Fantastic. Your girlfriend and wife, knows that she gets that emotional exclusivity, so she's happy with that. She's stable. She's not going to listen to you. She could break up with you. That could always happen in any relationship, but she's not going to do a listen fitty because she's getting all the needs met in terms of being your girlfriend, your wife. Then you have FBs on the side. If you're an older guy, have more money, you can make them sugar babies. However you want to do this, it's fine. What if you have a few of you are doing this? What if you had tons of FBs and nothing else? Not 2 or 3 FBs, but like 10 FBs. If you're organized and you're careful, especially if they live in different countries, which we'll address in a minute, you could do that. What you don't want is, if you're in the midst of building your business structures, your 5 flag stuff, your other, your important stuff, financial stuff, what you don't want is, and I did this for a few years, every night it's a different FB. So you have like 7, 8 FBs on rotation, and every night or every day you're with a new one. You're with number 3, and then you're with Monday, then you're with Tuesday, then I did this. Didn't get a lot of work done. 2009 was kind of like that. 2009, 2010. Didn't get a lot of work done those years. It's not good. Took an income hit. Now I had fun, but it was something I had to get out of my system. So I don't recommend you do that. So as long as you're careful about it doesn't overwhelm your life, that can be fine. 5 flags. Those of you who are 5 flags lifestyle guys, you are digital nomads, or you're perpetual travelers, or you have different flags like I do. How does this all work? So one is multiple FBs in multiple locations. Can that work? Yes. I've been doing that for what, 6, 7 years now? Yes. I have little harems of women in about 4, 5, 6 different countries. That can work. The challenge with it is if you're gone a long time, some of these women are going to fade away. Even if they're sugar daddies, they're still going to fade away. They'll get boyfriends. Not all of them, but a lot of them will. So that's a challenge. Unless you see them more often, you make it a kind of a circuit. So if you want a sustainable, if you visit, let's pick a country. You go to Costa Rica, right? And you want to have a steady FB in Costa Rica. You can't have one FB in Costa Rica. Because if you're gone 8 months, she might leave, you go back, you get a new one. See, what you want is 2 or 3 or 4 FBs there. So 1 or 2 leave, you still have 1 or 2 left. Make sense? But that can work perfectly fine. Long distance MLTRs. Can you have a long distance MLTR in a different country? The answer to that is technically there is no rule in Alpha 2.0 forbidding this, but it is not recommended at all. If you have an MLTR who lives more than 3 hours away from you, that is not recommended. It is not a good idea. It's not going to work. Don't do it. Make her an FB or move on. I'm sorry. And a lot of guys don't like this, especially guys who are digital nomads. They want MLTRs and all these. Doesn't work. Very difficult. Extremely difficult. And the odds are against you. Because they're not even your girlfriend. So they will be like, well, fuck this. And they will get a boyfriend. FBs might get a boyfriend. MLTRs definitely will because she's pissed. Because she has feelings for you. Now she's not going to see you for 6 months. Tough. And she's not your girlfriend. So you can get a girlfriend somewhere else and she thinks that. And so do not have, in my strong opinion, any long distance MLTRs. Not a good idea. Can you have a long distance FB? Of course. Can you have a long distance OLTR under certain conditions? But long distance MLTRs, don't do it. OLTR, either an OLTR girlfriend or wife, and then FBs in multiple locations. So that's basically what I've had with Pink Firefly for years. Works fine. You have to make the OLTR your priority. She's the priority. You got to spend time with her. If you're apart from her, you're on the phone with her a lot. Make her the priority. Keep her at that exclusive OLTR model. Don't start dating your FBs. Then you're outside the Alpha 2.0 model at that point. Your OLTR is going to find out. You're going to have explosions. Don't do that. But yes, that can work. You can even spend X amount of time per year apart from your OLTR. I've been doing that. I'm doing that right now. It's not fun, but it can work. Can work. And I know some of you are doing things like this. That's fine. That's an OLTR, not an MLTR. Caleb, why would an OLTR stick with you and an MLTR won't? Because the OLTR has girlfriend or wife status. That's why. She has a real investment in the relationship, whereas the MLTR doesn't. MLTR can snap her fingers, go get another guy. OLTR technically could do that if she's hot, but she has to detach from all the infrastructure you built up together. Make sense? How are we doing on time here? That's it. That's the list. Well, there's something else I wanted to say about this before we get to your questions. Sit down and think this through. All of your dating relationship life must be intentional. The first podcast I ever did as Black Dragon, way back in like 2008. It's somewhere on the internet. You can find it. The first one I ever did was on this topic. Was whatever it is you want, FB, MLTR, OLTR, blah, blah, whatever it is you want, it should be something you sit down and decide you want before you do it. Instead of just saying, I don't know what I want, you start dating girls, and then you get one-itis, and then you find that someone's pregnant, and you get married, and you get divorced. That's what most men do. They don't know what they want, or they say, I want a girlfriend, which doesn't mean anything. What does that mean? Or I want to get laid. That doesn't mean anything. What does that mean? And so when I started this lifestyle 17 years ago, 2007, I knew exactly what I wanted. All these configurations, I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted 2 MLTRs and several FBs on the side. And then I knew when I was 35, when I started this process, I said, down the road, I'm going to want to have a live-in OLTR wife. I wrote an entire article about it in 2012, years where I ever met Pink Firefly. Those of you who read my content that long, back at the Black Dragon blog, it's now at the alphamale20.com blog. You can go read it. And then many years later, I married Pink Firefly and got exactly that relationship. So that's how clear and intentional I was in this stuff, which is why I don't have problems and explosions in my woman life. I don't just follow my dick or follow my nose or just say, well, we'll figure out what happens. Sit down and think about what you want. Think it through. Write it down. I did. I wrote all this stuff down. And as you get older, these will change. So you may write down, 5, 6, 7 years later. So let's say you write down what you want. You get exactly that because you take action. You're not a lissig. You actually take action and do it. And now you have what you want. Great. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road, you may say, you know what? I don't want this anymore. Now I want this. And you write down a new thing. And that's okay. I've changed my configuration. Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I'm in the process of doing it the 4th time. Changing the configuration of what I'm doing. Because you get older. You get older. Your lifestyle changes. Your finances change. What you want changes. Okay. So that's okay. Just be intentional about what you're doing. That's the big takeaway from this. Be intentional. Instead of saying, I need to get laid, or I'm horny, or I want a girlfriend, or married. These things don't mean anything. I want to get things. Can you still fuck other girls? How many kids do you want? Where will you live? When you travel, how's that going to work? You have to define all these things. I have all these things defined at all times. You should too. Okay. All right. Let's answer some questions here. Take a drink of water out of my plastic bottle. Caleb has estrogen. I take estrogen blockers. It's okay. If I just took a little pill on Sunday. And let's see. Do you believe asexual people exist? Do you think they have just low sex drive, or do you think it's something else? Yes, asexual people do exist. They're the bizarre exception to the rule. But I've met a few people, sure. My mom's best friend was asexual most of her life, and then she was a lesbian, then she died. So it exists, but it's unusual. I have a brother, the same one I was mentioning earlier. Asexual is not the word. He doesn't like having sex. So here's the other thing. There's a small percentage of men and women both who don't like having sex. Too much work. So I've had a discussion with my brother about this. He's like, I don't like having sex. What? Yeah, I don't like it. Why not? It's too much work. He goes, you know what? I'd rather just sit on a chair and get a blowjob than have sex. I don't want to get on top of a girl, and I don't want to do that. So you have that too. That's not asexual because he enjoys sexual stimulation, but it's different. I am horrified. I was horrified to hear on a podcast a year or two ago. I was listening to Kevin Smith be interviewed on a podcast. And I've talked about Kevin Smith. He's a celebrity example of a more confident beta, but he is a beta. And how he said he has not had, he's been married for like 25, 30 years, which is good for him. He has not had sex where he was on the top for 30 years. Oh, and I heard it. I just went, ooh, I hate being on the bottom. I'll do it occasionally, just change things up. But I need to be on the top. I like being on the top. So he is definitely, but that's not asexual. That's something else. And of course, he married a woman who likes to be on the top. So, opposites attract. So, but that's not asexual. It's some other, it's just, hang on, I cut out. Wait a second here. I think I'm back. I'm gonna keep going. This might happen again once or twice. So my internet connection is not that great. Hang on. Okay, good. For cultures of women who have high ASD, Japanese women, I don't think Japanese women as high ASD as you think. Taiwanese women do. Japanese, there's a subset of Japanese women who love gaijin, and they don't have high ASD. Anyway, how hard is it to get sex on the second date? It's not hard. How many dates does you usually take on average? You need to be way more specific. Cultures of women who have high ASD depends. If it's in India, many dates, weeks. If it's Japan, 2 is no problem. Depends. It's looking like Trump can save the U.S. He's very pro-Bitcoin. Ha ha. You are insane or making a joke. Can't tell which one. Caleb, what are your thoughts on El Salvador? I've talked about El Salvador several times already. I personally think as soon as Bukele leaves the office, it will destroy the country again by releasing the gangs. That is my analysis, yes. And we've already seen this happen with Georgia. So what happened with Georgia? A libertarian president came in. He was awesome. Georgia was awesome. One of the best coaches in the world for about 4 or 5 years. The split second he left office, the socialists came back in and fucked it all up. So all these guys who say, oh my God, Argentina's awesome now because Mele, keep forgetting his name. They have a libertarian president. Everyone should move to Argentina now. No. As soon as he's out, it's right back to business as usual. So El Salvador, most likely, that's the scenario, but we don't know. Could be wrong. All of you who are worried about Mexico's new socialist president, oh no, it's a socialist president. It sucks now. No, she'll leave and it'll get back to business as usual. Same thing with you guys a year or 2 years ago. You guys were, oh no, Colombia's voted for a socialist government. It's not a good flag anymore. No, it's fine. That person will be out. This is the problem with democracy. I've written many times in blogs why democracy is a terrible idea. The problem with democracy is you get someone you like Trump or whoever it is, happy for 4 years, and you get someone you hate who fucks all that stuff up, and you're right back to square when you're mad again. Whereas in places like Dubai, they can make a 40-year plan. The United States can't make a 40-year plan. It changes every 3 years. Democracy sucks. If you had an FBE that you met through social circle game, are you not allowed to hang out as a group anymore since no dating is allowed with an FBE? It's dangerous. You don't, but if you're hanging out in a group, you're not dating her, but it's still a dangerous thing to hang out in a group of friends with your FBE. That's very dangerous. Yes, correct. Thanks, Caleb, for amazing content. You're welcome. Since you follow geopolitics, would you say there's a genocide happening against Alpha 2.0s? And should the UN intervene? Are you making a joke? There's no genocide, no. We are proof against genocide. We're location dependent. So when the tanks are coming in, we leave. We're safe. Alpha male 2.0s are the safe men. It's all the other men who are fucked, including alpha male 1.0s. Look at Andrew Tate. Would you have as many FBs as you do? Were you not so international? Yes, I did before I was international. I had lots of FBs. I had a mountain of FBs. I had a roster of dozens of women in the United States. Yes, I did. I didn't see them every day. 1 or 2 a week. If someone had to start from 0 again for FB MLTR, how quick should the roster be filled? Seeing only 1 FB MLTR for 4 weeks, still in the process of getting their FB MLTR, would be bad, obviously. What? 1 FB MLTR for 4 weeks, still in the process. I don't understand the second part of your question. I don't understand that. The answer is as fast as possible. But don't worry about filling your roster. Figure out what your model you want, how many FBs and MLTRs, and fill that as quickly as possible. The roster will fill over time. Can you say again advice on which date to tell you Alpha 2.0? What? Can you say again your advice on which date to tell her you Alpha 2.0? I don't understand your question. Write your question. As a 29-year-old with a pretty busy schedule right now, do you think it would be more feasible to have 3 FBs or 1 MLTR and 2 FBs? 3 FBs. FBs always take less time than MLTRs. If you're a total beginner, then 1 MLTR and 1 or 2 FBs. If you're not a total beginner, 3 FBs. Why is it so rare for you to take days off? If I had a life like yours, I'd program 3 big vacations per year. I should take more days off. I was taking 1 day off per week. I made a number of changes to my company a year ago. Had some problems with my companies about last summer, about a year ago, which pissed me off. And so now I'm like hypersensitive to that. So I will get back to that. Why? I'm extremely ambitious. I'm more ambitious than you. I have bigger goals than you, which is fine. I have big goals and I want them bad, and I will get them. And it requires me to put in some work. But I should not work 7 days a week. It's not good time management. I shouldn't be doing that. So took a day off yesterday. And then when I fly, I'm about to fly. I'm going to fly to Scotland. That's only an 1.5 hour flight from here. When I fly to the US, that's a 14-hour flight. I kind of take that off. I don't do a lot of work on the plane. I do some because I get sleepy. So I watch horrible movies. All the horrible movies you guys are watching, wasting your time with. That's when I watch those on the plane when I'm too sleepy to work. But I got to stay awake to adjust for time zones. So I'll watch horrible fucking movies on the plane on my laptop. So, but yeah. I shifted to the next phase of my life in April of 2026. And so hopefully then the objective is to work 4 days a week and take 3 days off a week every week. That's the objective for April 2026. But to get there, I got to work hard now. When a girl says, you just want me for sex or something like that, what do you say? First, you need to ask, why is she saying that? You fucked up. If she's under the age of 33, if she's in her 20s and she's saying that, you fucked up. You're acting too much like a player. You're not being nice enough to her. That's your fault. If she's over 33, that's how she is. She's over 33. It's the way it goes. So you don't, first, before you say, what do I say? You have to look in the mirror and say, why is she saying this? What am I doing? Because guess what? Women don't say that to me, ever. I have sex with a lot more women than you probably have. And I don't have that problem. Why? Because I don't do anything that spike her ASD. I don't do it. I'm nice. I'm a sweetheart. I have some provider, some beta male in my relationship game. Some, not much, but some. What do you say? It depends on if she's an FB or MLTR. I don't know which one you have there, so it depends. What, in your opinion, Caleb, on Qatar day game when they don't show their face? I think that's a very big mistake. It's way too hard. Way too difficult to game hardcore Muslim Islamic women who don't show their face. Way too difficult. That's the highest difficulty day game you could possibly choose. Why do that? How do you know when your woman skills are good enough to maintain the A2 requirements in case they leave? So that you can work on building your LI income. How do you know when your woman skills are good enough? Oh, can you get, the Unchained Man talks about this. What is your bottom line requirement? Can you bring in 2 new women, not from your roster, 2 new women into your sex life within 4 weeks from any point going forward? So if I said right now, you have to have sex with 2 new girls in the next 30 days, could you do it? Or you're like, oh, I don't know. The answer is, I don't know. You're not there yet. The answer is, oh yeah, I can do it. Great. Now, if your answer is, I can do it in a week, 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks. I can do it in 10 days. You're there. So can you have sex, penis in vagina, new women, not exes, not ex-MLTRs, not roster women. 2 new women within 30 days from any point. And you know you can do it. You're there. I could do it right now. And I can do it with no sugar daddy game. Do it right now. I've done it 10,000 times. That's the answer. Wouldn't it be easy to have 10 or more FBs? Because then you can see them once, 1 or 2 a day without seeing any of them more than once a week. I wouldn't see an FB every day. I mentioned that earlier. I wouldn't see an FB every day. You need work. When are you going to work? You're seeing FBs every day. Unless they're in and out in 45 minutes. You can do that. I live like that, but it's a difficult lifestyle. Is it okay to go to a concert with a high-end MLTR if she pays for herself? You can pay for her. That's okay. You can pay for her. That's fine. Is it BF behavior? No, it's not. And high-end MLTR is almost boyfriend. So it's okay. That's fine. Perfectly fine. Will you do another free trial run for 9-Day Business Builder? Probably not. I don't know. Caleb loved the new book and tried to help confused young Iraqi men by giving the book to the library, and they burned the book. Yeah. How Alpha 2 will respond to disrespect of your teaching? You should know the answer to that question. I don't care. You can disrespect me all you like. I don't care. I'm outcome independent. And I don't know why you are surprised that Muslim Iraqi men burned my book. Of course they will. That was a dumb thing to do, but I appreciate the gesture. Best dating apps in Latin America. All the same ones, in addition to things like Badoo and what's the other one? The quasi-dating apps, Badoo and I forget the name of the one. So all the usual ones, Tinder, all the usual ones working stuff in most of Latin America. Places like Paraguay, where there's hardly anyone there, it's pretty bad. You're looking at day game, night game, referral game, stuff like that. But in the bigger cities, all the usual apps work. I'm considering starting an SMMA that targets oral surgeons in a high-income country. What's your opinion as my first business? That would work. Yes. Oral surgeons in a particular high-income country, that would work. Yes. I'm in an OLTR. We want to start having kids. Cool. How am I going to deal with her emotions? Well, I have fuck buddies. I almost guarantee she'll want to break up, especially when the kids are young. Well, then you picked the wrong OLTR if you guarantee that. So you did not follow my model. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Maybe you had her before you found me. You discussed that during the OLTR talk. Okay, are we having kids? Yes, we're having kids. Okay, how many do we want? Let's figure it out. Do you understand, Susie? I'm going to have sex with women the rest of my life, even when we have kids. Do you understand that? Well, wait a minute. You can't do that. Then she doesn't qualify. She goes, yes, I understand that. Great. Now, if she changes her mind, if she says, yes, I understand that, and down there you have kids and she gets pissed off, you did your job. Well, if you recall, sweetheart, we had that discussion. Yeah, I changed my mind. Well, that's on you, sweetie. And, women do change their minds. It's how they're wired. So the problem is, if you really think this, you chose wrongly. Pink Firefly knew everything I was going to do in our relationship before I did it because we went through it all. We don't have kids, but then moving forward, I would have a discussion with her. I want to have kids with you. I love you. I want to be with you forever. I want to be a father to our children and a husband to you. I want to be with you forever. I'm going to have sex with women. Even if you have kids, that doesn't change the model. If that's a deal breaker for you, then I understand. If you want to break up with me, I understand. I'll hate that, but I understand. You got to say that. Caleb, I can't say that. Then you have one itis and you're fucked. Is there any requirement to go from OLTR girlfriend to OLTR wife? Yes. You need to live with her for a while and see how she does. That's the only thing you can do. So she's your OLTR girlfriend for at least a year, at least. Pink Firefly was OLTR girl for several years, for 2.5 years, I think. So she's your OLTR girlfriend for at least a year. More is better. You move in with her on a trial basis. You say, you're gonna move in with me. I'm gonna see how you do, sweetie. You start giving me drama and stuff, we're gonna go back to what we're not gonna break up. We're gonna go back to what we were doing. We're gonna live separately and be together, and then you see what she does. Do you recommend FBs who have boyfriends and are unfaithful to them with you? At least 50% of my FBs throughout the last 17 years have had boyfriends. Perfectly fine. Do not care. Very normal. Long-term monogamy does not work. Yes. Most of your younger FBs will have, well, not most, at least 50% will have boyfriends. They're cheating. Doesn't matter. It's fine. MLTRs? No. I would not have an MLTR who has a boyfriend. That's bad because you're dating her. That's not a good idea. Some guys try that. Not good. FB, she can do whatever she wants. Fine. If you're only in town 4 to 7 months a year, can you keep an MLTR? No, you cannot. What are some ways to keep her around? You can't. There's no way to do that. As I mentioned earlier, there's no way to do that. 4 to 7. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you meant weeks. Let me rephrase. Let me start over. Sorry about that. If you're only in town 4 to 7 months a year, that's a long time. So, can you keep an MLTR? Yes, you can, but I don't recommend it. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's shitty for you and shitty for her. I don't think it's going to work. So long distance MLTRs are not a good idea. Sorry. You can do that as an OLTR. You have an OLTR 4 to 7 months a year because she's invested. You're supporting her financially, maybe, and you're going to have kids later or whatever. That's different. What are some of the best ways to keep her around? You have to contact her a lot when you're not there. A lot, like almost every day, depending on her personality. And it probably still won't work. But you could pull it off. I just don't recommend it. I have a problem with getting FBs that are cute. The only cute ones that are pretty want long term. That is called a limiting belief. It is not true. You know how many FBs I've had who were smoking hot and didn't want any long term because they were young? Yeah, a 19-year-old girl wants something long term? No. How to get pretty FBs? Date more women. Unless you're dating only older women. I don't know how old you're dating. If they're all over 33, you may have a problem. If they're in their 20s, late teens, 20s, you're fine. Date more. I have a feeling you've dated 2 or 3 girls who said, I want something long term. And you said, all girls want this. Guys tend to do that. Not smart. I got to leave a little earlier today. Actually, speaking of that, let me check something here. Really? Oh, that's weird. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Where was I? I hate when I lose my place. If the new COVID variant showed to be particularly dangerous for Alpha 2.0 men, would you take the vaccine boosters or just lock down indefinitely? I don't do fantasy hypotheticals. Caleb, Caleb, did you know apparently having high ambition, self-discipline, and leadership is mostly genetic? No, it's not mostly genetic. There's a genetic component. I found this out recently. This leads me to believe that Alpha 2.0 is only for certain guys. What have I been saying for 17 years on the internet? Alpha Male 2.0 is only for 10% of men. Correct. I am niched. I teach you to find a narrow niche. I follow my own advice. I walk my talk. Alpha Male 2.0 is only for 10% of men. 90% of men are beta males who are too scared to try Alpha 2.0 or angry Alpha Male 1.0s who are philosophically opposed to Alpha 2.0 because they don't want to be happy. They want other things instead of happiness. I just saw a podcast. I don't know this guy, but he was a business podcast. He interviews people. And he was interviewing Dan Pena, I think. He was saying, some people say that the point of life is happiness. I don't believe that. Okay, then great. Don't do this. But no, having high ambition, self-discipline, and leadership are not mostly genetic. That is a false statement, especially self-discipline. That is very developed. I wasn't self-disciplined when I was a kid at all. My grade point average in high school was 1.1. I wasn't self-disciplined worth a shit. I had to develop it. Is lots of experience before getting it. Yes. That's one of the reasons I say 30, age 30. You don't want to be 22 and try to get a girlfriend. It's insanity. I'm tempted to just get an FB and OLTR and focus on my income. I'm in my 30s at the moment. Well, then okay. If you're over 30, you're allowed to do that. Are you like, did you lose your virginity at age 29? I don't know how inexperienced you are. I honestly don't know where to start, but following your content for a while and still feel too dumb. I want to join your biz program so bad, but I'm broke and unemployed. Regardless, any advice? You need to start with your money or your woman life first. Pick one, not both. Right now, you're overwhelmed because all these things you got to do. Pick one. Do you want to start your A2 business, or do you want to get good with women? Which one do you want to focus on now, and the second one you focus on later? Start there. Then the first steps of each. What's the first step of starting your own A2 business? Identify a narrow niche. That's it. Start there. That's it. If you're focusing on woman stuff, what do you focus on there? Well, if you're doing online dating, you get some really, really good photos, professionally taken, or the college student who has a really good camera outside. Really good photos. And get on every dating app you can that applies to your area and start swiping the shit out of it. Start there. Just start. You're overthinking. You're being illicit. You're overthinking this stuff. You mentioned struggling with your diet. Correct. Have you ever tried a magazine that bag of corn chips as a chick give you drama and just soft nexting it might make dieting easier? Oh, if it were only that simple. Caleb, what's your opinion on the new Dubai law that punishes relations with harsh punish for a white man with sex relations friend? You are completely wrong. What laws they have, they're getting rid of every year. Every year they get rid of those laws. You are incorrecto. So how did you meet your Paraguayan FBs? My current favorite ones are all through referral game. So originally I did some normal dating and some sugar daddy game, met a bunch of FBs, got referrals from them. And so all my primary FBs now in Paraguay are all from referral game. And my favorite one in Dubai too. They've never been on a dating app in their lives. It's great because it works really well in South America. Hey, if you are young and want to join the 90-Day Business Builder, do you need to have a marketable skills from a job? No. You don't need 90-Day Business Builder is for pure beginners who have no idea what to do. No, the answer is a big, big no. If I join, do I have to outsource, learn a skill in the course? You have to do one of the two things, yes. How else would you start a business if you don't know how to do it, you don't outsource? How else are you going to do it? So yes, you have to learn something or outsource it. Yeah. But as I've said 10,000 times, if I sat down with you and grilled you for 2 hours with a clipboard on all of your experiences, your background, your hobbies. I can come up with at least 2 marketable skills you already have. You already have at least 2 marketable skills right now, even though you think you don't. Your self-esteem just sucks because you live in 2024 in a collapsing Western world that hates men. So you think you're stupid when you're not. But even if you really don't, you still could make business builder work. That's what it's for. P.S. I was also at the London event. It was a great event. Cool. Value for money. Cool. It was also surreal seeing you in person. Everyone says that. I know. It is. I agree. What do you think of Ecuador for a flag? Depends what kind of flag. I think Ecuador is fine. My cousin just visited, showed me pictures of Afro-Latinas and fell in love. Yeah, Ecuador's not my favorite, but it's good. I know people in Ecuador who love it. Yeah, Ecuador's great. I prefer Paraguay. Some people prefer Colombia. Some people prefer Brazil. Some people prefer Peru. So here's how you figure it out. You go to Ecuador for a week. Go there for a week and see if you like it. If you fall in love with it, awesome. If you go, then pick another country, do it again. That's exactly what I did. You never know until you go there for a week. I said a week, not 2 days. A week. I have an FB that's married and the husband doesn't know. Okay, I've done that. Not lately. I don't recommend doing that, but I have done that years ago. Yes. The husband never knows. Monogamy doesn't work and men are stupid. Yes, correct. And what happened here? I lost my questions. And I've talked about this. The statistics indicate, they don't say this, but statistics indicate that in long-term marriages, not marriages that are 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, longer-term marriages, more than 7, 8 years old, if one of the 2 people is cheating, it's usually the wife, not the husband. The husband's cheating if the marriage is new. He's most likely him. But if you have a long-term married couple, more than 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and one of them is cheating, most likely it's the wifey poo. And boy, have I seen that in my anecdotal life. A lot. A lot. I've been with 3 or 4 married women in my life, all 10 plus years ago. I don't recommend doing that now. I don't do that now. But all 3 or 4 of those women were in that category. They'd been married a long time. Even the younger ones have been married. They got married young and they've been married a long time. She's super hot, but not sure how quiet she can keep it. Don't want to have the fight. Okay, then don't end it. End it. I don't recommend you do that anyway. The odds for drama are too high. I don't recommend you do it. Is Instagram needed as an integral part of online dating in 2024? Integral? No. Helpful? Yes. What are the best ways to find attractive FBs? It's called online dating, day game, social circle game, referral game once you get good, and if you want, night game. That's how you do it. I have success finding women for MLTR, but FBs are harder to find for even cute or hot women. Are you the same guy bitching about this? If you can have sex with hot MLTRs, you can have sex with hot FBs. You guys are, it's a mental block you guys have. You guys are you guy if you're the same guy. There's no difference. No difference. Unless you're talking about women over 33. I have a feeling you're not. If you love beaches, Caleb, come to the Boracay here in the Philippines, top tier. Boracay is probably the best beach in the world. I'm well aware of that, yes. I don't get where you would meet an FB with a boyfriend. Do they get a boyfriend after becoming an FB? Both. Women cheat, especially young girls. Young, hot girls who date young boys cheat. I've had both, a lot of both. They get a boyfriend while seeing me, or they had a boyfriend originally. A lot of both. Monogamy doesn't work. Stop being surprised that monogamy doesn't work. Have you had any FBs that have gained a large amount of weight? Oh, yes. And have that affect your sex life with them? Well, the answer is yes. Women in the United States in particular eventually get overweight. That's just the culture there. So Americans, yes. More than a few. Yeah. I have women who were FBs years ago, and today I see them on my personal Facebook, and they're unrecognizable. They're unrecognizable from when I was having sex with them when they were 18 or 23 or 25, and now they're just giant butterballs. Yeah. Here's what I do. There's no model here to whatever you pick, whatever you like. If a woman gains a little weight while she's seeing me, I don't care. And in many cases, I've mentioned this before, when really skinny girls gain some weight, they actually are better sexually. The ass gets bigger, the boobs get bigger. and they get better a little bit. They not get fat, they gain some weight. If they get huge and fat, I can't do it anymore. And the reason for this is when women get mad, if I say this, women don't remember. We are men. We need to be physically aroused in order to have sex. So we as men need to get physically aroused, i.e., our dicks have to get physically hard for us to have sex. Women don't need to be physically aroused to have sex. That's why God invented lube. And women forget this. Well, that's me. You're going to dump her because she gets fat. Yes, because I want to be able to have sex with her. I'll look at her and go, I mean, I like you. We can cuddle. So if she gets really big, yeah. You have to move on. And that's happened to me, yes. No, they get too big. The longest term, most consistent FB I've ever had, I've talked about on my blogs. Talked about her. Started seeing her when she was 23. She lasted 7 years consistently as an FB with no breaks and no listen fitties for 7 years. Awesome. Why did I eventually stop seeing her? Because she just got too fat. She started gaining weight. That's fine. And then she started getting, I couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't do it. This is while I was losing weight, by the way. Because I've lost weight over that same time frame. Yeah, so, yep. It's unfortunate. Let's see here. How would you go about reinitiating contact with a girl after a dramatic breakup? Well, your odds are already low, no matter what you do. If it was a dramatic breakup, your odds are already low. That's why Alpha 2.0s don't have dramatic breakups. Showed too many Alpha 1.0 behavior. Yep. Kicked her out of my place and unfollowed her 1.5 years ago. Fault to my question, do I bring up the past on the approach, tell her how silly it was, or act as if nothing happened? You act as if nothing happened, and you just text her and say, hey, how's it going? You pretend like nothing's happened. You don't bring it up. Odds of success, 5%, maybe 10% the most. And don't do that again. Got a Dutch and Russian passport? Cool. And Armenian resi? Great. How beneficial is it for me to turn the Armenian one into a passport too, assuming I wouldn't want to live in Armenia? Somewhat beneficial, not much. Again, my default answer is you might as well do it. You might as well do it. I'm going for it in November. So you might as well, but it's not super beneficial if you already have those two in particular. So those are both European-ish. So it's up to you. How many months a year should you be around to keep an MLTR? Are you the same guy? You're the same guy. It doesn't matter that no MLTR should be long distance. You're trying to weasel around the model. No MLTR should be long distance. None. You can lose, and it's happened to me. You can lose an MLTR by being there 11 months a year. You're gone for a month, you come back, she's gone. What happened to one of my favorite MLTRs ever? I was on a trip to Asia for a month, came back, she was gone, and I could never get her back. So there's no correct answer to that question. You're rolling the dice on anything you do. What do you recommend to a guy trying to get his previous boss, an older, good-looking woman, as an FB? He already left his job. You just text her, hey, how's it going? Have a little talk. Say, hey, we should meet up for coffee. That simple. That's it. Odds of success, probably 10%. But I've talked about this. Back when I was a beta in my 20s, that's how I dated. What few women I dated back then, not very many. What few women I did, that's what I did. Not my boss, but women I worked with. So what I would do is, I'm not recommending you do this. This is what I did back in the 90s when I was a beta, didn't know how else to do this. I didn't want to date them while I worked with them. So I made sure to get their personal phone number and was comfortable calling them on the phone on their personal number. We didn't have texting back then, or email sometimes. So they were comfortable hearing from me on that modality. And then if I left the job or she left the job, then I hit them up. That's how I found my first wife and the one before her. But odds of success still very low. Why am I so hungry? I just ate. I'm hungry all the time. It's called leptin. Drives me crazy. Even when I fast. I mean, even a week where I'm fasting. I'm not fasting today, but to the guy, okay. When new unknown women spontaneously start following my simple Insta profile with some good pictures posts. How are the odds of chatting her up for dating? E.g., can I handle it like an online dating app? Because those are two very different questions. Can you handle it like an online dating app? Yes. Many men are getting laid right now on Instagram. Yes, 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 yes. Do it. Yes. What are your odds of success at any one individual woman? Less than 5%. Your odds are very low for any one individual woman. That's why dating is a numbers game. So you hit a bunch of women up, not one you like. Is paying for a high-end MLTR's travel to come visit you okay? Or should that be reserved for OLTRs only? It can be allowed as long as you don't do it often and your income is very high and you can afford it without any problem. It's more about an income question than a relationship question. Do you make a shitload of money and it's no big deal at all to fly a chick out? Sure, it's fine. You don't do it all the time? Sure, it's fine. High-end MLTR, it's fine. I coded an MVP for a SaaS for real estate agents that solves a real need because an agent told me they needed it. One agent is not a statistic. So when you do niche research, we talked about this in 90 Day Business Builder, 90day.ca, you need to hear it from 5 different people in the niche. The same exact need. You hear from 5 different people, that's a need. One person, you have no idea. Only one out there. Is mass emailing agents to try it out good for a good idea? No. Get on the phone, talk to a bunch more real estate agents who are like him in his niche. Hopefully you are niched. Real estate agents is not a niche. That's an industry that's not niched. So hopefully you have niched a certain type of real estate agent. Talk to 20 more, or 10 more. And you want 5 to say yes. You don't say, is your problem this? You say, what is your problem? And then you shut your fucking mouth and you listen to what they say. And if you do that, you hear 5 people yell you that same problem, you're onto something. One doesn't mean a thing. Is it better to service agents or brokers? I heard brokers have more money. Yes, brokers generally have more money, but again, niche. Real estate brokers is not a niche. Will I get less flaking but more ASD issues if I set my age range from 23 to 32, or is 32 still too close and should I drop to 31? The standard wide advice to everybody, the macro advice is go as low as you can. Now, if you really like women who are in their early 30s, because I do, then don't do that. But if your only mission is to get laid as fast as possible, go as low as you can. That top number should be as low as you can. So you 23 to 32, do 23 to 26. If that's your priority. Are there videos or articles talking about referral game? If there is a mini course called Referral Game, if you go to store.calebjones.com, that's going to cost you about $127, I think. Referral. There's a book, The Ultimate Younger Woman Manual, talks about referral game. If you go to my blog, alphamale20.com, I think I mentioned it, a little aspects, bits and pieces there. Yeah. Why do say not to use Tinder if you're an older guy looking for very young women? Doesn't work very well. For older men going after much younger women, Tinder doesn't work well because Tinder is age-based. They're not even, you're not in their zone. They have to go in and change their settings to expand your zone. You could lie about your age on your Facebook or whatever, and maybe it's tough. Bumble's easier. That can convert from threesome or when FBs tell you to fuck her friend. Oh, it's a continuation of the work. Okay. Do you have an idea of how long PF will stay with you? If you asked that a year ago, I would have said forever. I'm in the process of changing my relationship structures around with her. So at this point, I don't know yet. Ask me in October when I can talk about what I'm doing. Under a normal OLTR marriage, forever. Odds will be very high. She has a much higher tolerance for problems and drama than I do. So if her and I ever broke up, it would be me leaving her, not her leaving me. But she's an anomaly. Could you have your OLTR source girls for you? Absolutely. My MLTR, my OLTR girlfriend, my quasi OLTR before Pink Firefly did exactly that. Sourced all kinds of girls for me. It's great. The answer is yes. How to find the Alpha 2.0 on Discord. If you go to any older YouTube video on my YouTube channel and you click the description, it has links for all that stuff. We have several Discords, several Telegrams. We got all kinds of stuff. Look at the description. People don't look at YouTube descriptions anymore. Would you use Ozempic? No. Look at me. Clearly, I'm not using Ozempic. A lot of my women are. Way too many side effects that are way beyond the 2% rule. As soon as you get off the drugs, off Ozempic, you're hungry again, and most people gain it all back. It kills a lot of muscle. No. Now, what I am hoping is, I'm not hoping this for me, I'm hoping this for human beings. My hope is that Ozempic is the 1.0, and there's a 2.0 around the corner that doesn't have these side effects. That's what I'm hoping. I'm surprised they don't have that already, but they're going to cure obesity in our lifetimes anyway. That's one of the good things about the next several decades. They will cure cancer. They will cure obesity. They will cure baldness. These things won't be problems for human beings in the next 20, 30, 40 years. So Ozempic is hopefully, most likely, the 1.0. Do I want to shoot myself full of the 1.0? No, I don't. I'll wait for the 2.0 or the 3.0, and then I'll do that. I won't need it by then is the objective. Hopefully, I will be down to 14% body fat before they get to the 2.0. I don't want to rely on this stuff. All right. I'm going to take off here. Give me one or two more questions. Okay. What's the best approach? One or two more questions. I got to go. What's the best approach to have a threesome in terms of finding women who are down? Go to my blog, alphamale20.com/blog. Click on the search or go to the archive list. How to have a threesome. It's all there. For older guys, I'm 35. You're barely older, but you are technically older, yes. What apps do you recommend? Every app. Every app. You have to be on every app to make online dating work today. Every app. Plus Instagram. Plus Sugar Daddy Game. And you're too young. So every app. Just learned about Tinder being bad just now since I'm older. No. You're not older enough. You're okay. You're all right. I'm talking about men my age. If you're 47 going after 18-year-olds, Tinder's not going to work. That's not you. You're fine. Proceed with Tinder. You're okay. You're not older enough. You are older, but you're not old. Can you bring back past OLTRs into the mix? Of course you can. No bad breakup on my end, but she hates me, lol. Why does she hate you if there's no bad breakup? That makes no sense. Best way to bring her back to full current MLTR. You hit her up. I have a 94% return rate. You hit her up. Hey, how's it going? And just talk to her. And so we should meet up. Should hang out on, how about 7 p.m. on Wednesday? So she says. It is harder to bring back ex-OLTRs than FBs or MLTRs. That's harder. So your odds of success are much lower, especially if you currently have an MLTR. You can try it, sure. Wouldn't hurt. Fine. How would you help a guy muster up the courage to leave his live-in, financially dependent, depressed mono GF without feeling like the bad guy? You will feel like the bad guy because you're a beta male, and that's part of being a beta. So you say to yourself, this is going to hurt. I'm going to hate this. This is going to be painful, but I got to go over this hump. And I will tell you for a fact, and every guy can relate to this who's gone through this, including myself, because I did this too. I had a wife, financially dependent, depressed, mono wife. And it was awful. Within 3 months, you'll be the happiest you ever felt in your entire life. I was the happiest I ever felt in my entire life at that point, after I moved out, after the pain. That will happen. Trust me. So you won't say, how do I make it not hurt? It will hurt. Converting from beta to alpha 2.0 hurts. There's pain involved, but it's temporary, and then you're happy for the rest of your life. I was happy in 2007 I made that change. I had some pain for 3 months, and I was happy the rest of my life. The last 17 years I've been happy. Is that worth it? Is 17 years of happiness worth 3 months of sharp pain? Yeah. Yup. It's going to be painful. Just do it. Rip off the Band-Aid and do it. Set it in the counter and fucking do it. And if you can't, you're a pussy, you have one-itis, and you're a beta, and you're just saying, I'm going to be a beta the rest of my life. Thanks again for all you do, especially about business. Take care. You're very welcome. All right. Let's get one more. They won't solve cancer and obesity because they created it. I know all that, of course. Bitcoin solves this long-term. Read the Bitcoin Standard. They will cure it because eventually there'll be demand for this. Why they make Ozempic? Bendazole and ivermectin cure cancer already? No, they don't. No. All right, last question. No drama on my end. Had very civil ending, no yelling or anything, but found out after we ended that she went on a smear campaign. We ended right when she turned 33. Are you the same guy who wants her back? Why do you want that woman back? Don't take the woman back. Move on. All right. There will not be a live stream or podcast on either of my channels. Next week, I will be traveling. What I will try to do is instead at my YouTube channel, do a recorded video, a brief one, so you have something next week. I've been doing a lot of traveling next week. So next week, there'll be no live stream on either channels, Unchained CEO or Alpha 2.0, and there will be no podcast. Just skip it next week because too much travel. But I will try to do a recorded video or two on both my YouTube channels. Cool. All right. Have fun.